it's visible?
Yes, yes.
Great. Now that we have talked about what's MFA, how to configure MFA, it's very simple. You have to go to your Entra Microsoft portal, then you have to go to conditional access policies, and you can turn on your MFA from there. You can turn on your MFA per user basis. Like let's say you have 10 users in your organizations. One is Alex, then you have Bob, you have Charlie, or something like that, and you want to enable MFA for only Alex and Bob. So absolutely you can do that using your Microsoft Entra portal, right? That's there. Now what are the other authentication options that we have? Now we are here talking about Azure, Microsoft Azure. If you talk about on-premise, have you heard about this Kerberos?
Yes, it's a protocol which used for authentication for AD.
Okay. Absolutely. Now, Kerberos authentication is a part of Windows setup only. But here we are talking about on-premise data centers. So yes, Kerberos is a type of authentication that is being used or is being implemented in your on-premise data centers. So what is Kerberos exactly? So it is a network authentication protocol that is used to prove identity. Identity between what? Between a user, which means a client, and a server in a secure way over an untrusted network. That's your Kerberos. So it is named after the three-headed dog from Greek methodology because it relies on three key parts. The client, I would write here. First is the client, then comes the server, and finally the which you call it as key distribution center. Key distribution center.
This key distribution center is key vault or something else?
No, it's something else. It's something else. Yeah, I'll tell you. So what happens is in a Windows environment, your domain controller acts as the DC, right? As the domain controller, right?
Yes.
Now, here your domain controller acts as the KDC, key distribution center. So let's understand this concept, in step by step. It's like a ticket based concept. So instead of sending your passwords across the network every time you want to open a file or you want to check an email, Kerberos uses something called as tickets. So you can think of it like a theme park. You show your ID at the front gate, to get a wristband. That is a ticket granting ticket, TGT. You show that wristband to individual ride operators to get a ride pass, which is a service ticket. And finally, the ride operator lets you on because they trust the front gate's wristband. Right? That's how it happens. Same thing as in Kerberos. So if we talk about the step-by-step process here, the process happens in three main exchanges. First is the authentication service exchange. So here, when you first log into your computer sends a request to the KDC, to the domain controller. Now it doesn't send your password, it sends a timestamp encrypted with the hash of your password. And in response, what does this client gets? The KDC decrypts it, means the domain controller decrypts it to prove you are who you say you are, and it sends back a ticket granting ticket, which we call as TGT. So TGT is your master key for the day. For it is usually valid for 8 to 10 hours. That is how the exchange works here. Okay. Now, what is NTLM? That's the next topic. So that's Kerberos. So it gives you comprehensive authentication. Kerberos provides secure, single sign-on, and delegated authentication for domain resources. It is integrated with Active Directory. So Kerberos uses AD for security accounts and supports efficient credential management. It also helps you in terms of interoperability and efficiency. Why? Because Kerberos ensures mutual authentication and seamless integration across networks with reusable session tickets. See the same kind of tickets we were talking about.
So, sorry, but where exactly we use that in Azure?
No, we don't use this in Azure. This is, we are just talking about what are the authentication options.
Okay, okay, all right.
Okay, yeah.
Because I remember we had a discussion that the Kerberos we use in on-prem, and in Azure we have other option. for
Yes.
authentications.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you remember that option?
Yeah, open to an authentication or
Yeah. It was OpenID Connect.
OpenID Connect.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
and
so we
Auth
do.
2 as well.
OAuth 2.0, that is for authorization. Perfect.
Correct. Yeah.
So the answer would be, yes to your question as well. We use Kerberos in Azure, but in a way that bridges the gap between old school on-premise networking and modern cloud security. Now, since Kerberos, we have discussed, traditionally requires a line of sight, a direct network connection to a domain controller. So Microsoft created something called as Microsoft Entra Kerberos. See, and this allows Azure to act as a cloud-based key distribution center. That is the reason we have this Kerberos authentication here.
So
Okay.
is it also we use Kerberos in SSO, or is it
Uh-huh.
something related to SSO?
It's just an authentication option. Like if you want to go with a Kerberos approach,
Hmm.
then absolutely. Entra says that if you don't want to use OpenID Connect maybe for authentication, you want to rely on Kerberos. So absolutely you can do that. I have this tool which is called as Entra Kerberos. That's the
Okay.
reason. Huh. Okay. Now, what's NTLM? Let's understand that as well. Do you know anything about NTLM?
No, sorry.
Okay. Ever heard about this?
No.
Okay. See, NTLM stands for New Technology Local Area Network Manager. Now, what is this NTLM? It is also an authentication technique only. Okay, an authentication protocol. But how does it work is, see, NTLM uses a challenge response mechanism to authenticate users and computers. Now, what is this challenge response mechanism? Here again, we are talking about a sender and a receiver. See, NTLM is a suite of Microsoft security protocols that is used to authenticate users' identities and protect the integrity and confidentiality of their activity on a network. Right. So while it was the primary authentication method for Windows environments in the 1990s, it is now considered as a legacy protocol, like an old protocol. So Microsoft is currently in the process of completely phasing it out in favor of the more secure Kerberos protocol. Now, how NTLM works? Here it is written challenge response mechanism. What does it mean? See, the process typically involves three steps. I would write here. First is negotiate. Second step is challenge. Third step is authentication. Now, what does it mean? Negotiate means the client tells the server it wants to log in. First thing, first. Then comes the challenge. The server sends back a random 16-byte string, which is called a nonce or a challenge. And finally, you get authenticated. The client encrypts that challenge using a hash of the user's password and sends it back. So the server, means the domain controller, then performs the same calculation. If the results match, the user is let in. That's how NTLM works. See, it has workgroup support as well. It is essential for Windows authentication in workgroups and local logons. Right? So we're totally talking about AD here, not Entra ID. Despite its clever design for the 90s, NTLM has several critical security flaws that make it dangerous in modern networks. What? First is there is no mutual authentication. The client proves its identity to the server, but the server doesn't have to prove its identity to the client. And this makes it easy for attackers to set up fake servers. Then you have other type of attacks such as NTLM relay attacks. Weak cryptography is there, and there is no MFA support. NTLM doesn't natively support MFA, which is a requirement for modern security standards. So that is the reason we don't use NTLM anymore. See, it's a legacy protocol. While Kerberos is preferred, NTLM remains used in specific application and environments where you don't have any other choice. That's when we use this NTLM, right? So what is it exactly? See, NTLM and Kerberos, these are both authentication protocols widely used in Windows environments. But again, they differ significantly in security, architecture, and usage. NTLM is a challenge response protocol where the client proves its identity by responding to a cryptographic challenge from the server using the user's password hash. It doesn't support mutual authentication, right? Which makes it less secure. So NTLM is still used, but for legacy systems, for workgroup environments, and as a fallback when Kerberos is unavailable. It relies on password hashes, which are susceptible to various attacks like pass the hash and relay attacks. And then we have got your Kerberos. Now, Kerberos is a ticket-based authentication protocol that uses a trusted third-party key distribution center (KDC). It supports mutual authentication, so both client and server authenticate each other. It provides single sign-on, like after initial authentication, the user accesses multiple resources without re-entering credentials. So single sign-on is not supported here. No single sign-on is there, no MFA is there. So don't you think it's very less secure, right?
Yes,
Even
right.
Kerberos uses AES, American Encryption Standard, and time-limited tickets, again increasing security and reducing risk of replay attacks. So that is why Kerberos is much better if we compare it with NTLM. It's for legacy systems only. Then something is there which is called as password-less authentication. Now, what is this password-less authentication? Although we have already talked about it. See, in Entra ID, this passwordless authentication is a method where a user signs in without ever typing a password. Instead of something you know, like a password, it uses something you have. Now, what do I mean by that? Maybe a device, maybe a key that is combined with something you are, maybe your biometrics or a PIN, right? That's your passwordless authentication. So there are three main methods. Microsoft focuses on three primary passwordless credentials for the for this. First is Windows Hello for businesses. See that Windows Hello authentication, right? Where what happens? You use a PIN or biometrics like face or fingerprint that is tied specifically to a single PC. Second option is having Microsoft Authenticator. See here, Authenticator app, right? What is it? It's basically for phone sign in. It turns your phone into a physical security key. Hope you all have used this Authenticator app. How it works? You get a notification, you match a
Yes.
number on the screen, and you use your phone's face or thumbprint to prove, right? That's what happens.
Yes.
Yes, that is your authenticator. Again, it is passwordless. You don't have to put any passwords. You might have to scan a QR or something, but you don't have to enter a password. So again, it's nothing but a passwordless authentication. Then it also supports something called as FIDO2. Now, what is this FIDO2? FIDO2, these are security keys, like physical USBs, NFC keys, like UB keys are there. These are phishing resistant because the credentials never leaves the physical key. You must have seen RSA pen drives or something which you have to plug into the desktop and then only you can sign in. Again, it's a passwordless authentication, right? Now, talking about how you can configure this, simple. You just have to go to your Intra Microsoft, portal, and there you have to sign in as your authentication policy administrator. This is the role you must have, okay? Which is, I will write here, authentication policy admin. This is the role that you need to have. And let me see if it is possible to show you that. Just a moment. See, this is my Intra portal. Here, if I go to protection and authentication methods, see, these are your authentication methods. Here you will find password protection, authentication. See that? Passkey, Microsoft Authenticator, SMS, all these are built-in techniques. You can configure whatever you want from here, right? You can configure authenticator. Then it will ask you to whom user do you want to authenticate, do you want to use this option? Let's say I want to select a particular group. Then it will ask you which particular user, right? So that's how it works. You can select all users. If you want to select groups, you can click on add group and you can add a specific group like IT. Then hit select and done. Now whatever person is joining from this group, he'll have to use MFA, right? That's how it works. These are how you set authentication methods. You can create your policies. See, you'll have this option, all these policies. These are built in, right? And this will show you your authentication strength. What's your authentication strength according to the method that you're using? Passwordless MFA, phishing resistant MFA, see that. What's the strength, right? So that is your, what do you call as your passwordless authentication.
So what about Kerberos or the another option,
Like, what
NTLM?
about it?
Where I will find that if
Okay.
I want to use Kerberos or the another option?
Okay.
Yeah, that also I will get here, right?
Absolutely. Just go to
Okay.
here.
Hmm.
That you go to authentication. Now this is talking about passwordless, authentication.
Hmm.
So for Kerberos, I guess you will find it. Let me see. For that, first you have to install a module. For that the process is quite different, because then
Okay.
you are working with what do you call Active Directory, right?
Okay.
Your on-prem AD. So for that,
Hmm.
you have to complete a setup. Like, you have to install the Azure AD hybrid module first. You have to
Hmm.
create Kerberos server object, and the process is different. It's not available on this portal.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, you have to
Hmm.
go to configuration profiles and all that,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that is how it works. And yeah, now let's go back. I think we have something message here. Okay, let's go back. So there are multiple options when we talk about passwordless authentication, right? We have biometrics, pins, security keys. You have authenticator option, Windows Hello, FIDO2 keys, any devices. You can choose the methods based on user roles, devices, and environments to enhance security and usability. And if you move forward, see, how do we implement this? We can make use of fingerprint, we can use face recognition, voice recognition. All these are part of passwordless authentication. See, all the options that I've just talked about. Deployment codes, planning, pilot, user registration, managing through intra-admin center. See that? That's the only portal you're looking for here to manage all your passwordless methods that I just showed you. Mitigate password attack risks as well. Now, what's password protection? According to you, what do you think? What's password protection?
Uh, I don't know. Maybe to protect our password, we use some protocols or rules. I
Mhm.
don't know. Maybe uh, digits or keywords,
Hmm.
special words, that kind
Hmm.
of things.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Unique, basically, unique
Hmm.
password are too
Okay.
hard to hack.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's something like that only. See, password protection is a security feature again. If I, I'll go back to my Entra and I'll show you. What I'll do is I'll just show you. If I go back, let me share that thing again. So if you see on my screen here, you will find password protection. Let me close this. See that. Now this is your password protection. Now what is it? See, again, it requires the ID premium license, of course, but let's understand this. It is a security feature that prevents users from choosing weak, easily guessable, or compromised passwords. Sometimes there are some websites that ask us, if we are creating, let's say we are creating a VM in Azure. So it says, you have to create like at least these characters, and it should involve, like a special character and underscore or something. What is that? That is complexity. We are setting some complexity of the password. But this password protection goes beyond that. How it goes beyond simple complexity rules, like requiring a capital letter or number, how it moves beyond that. It goes by actually checking the password against a list of forbidden terms. So you can think of it as an automatic filter that sits as the change password screen and says no if the password is too risky. So there are two banned lists here. it uses two different lists to evaluate a password. First is a global banned list, and second one is a custom banned password list. So this is where you add terms specific to your company that a hacker might guess. So for an example, your company name, example Contoso, your city is London, or a local sports team. Limit is you can add up to 1000 terms only, right? Then there is something called as fuzzy matching. The system is smart enough to catch variants. If you ban the word Contoso, it will also automatically block, if you write it as C0 on Toso, Contos 0, or Contoso exclamatory mark 123, something like that. Case sensitive, doesn't matter. It will block that, right? How to configure it? This is the screen. You have to set up your lockout threshold, lockout duration in seconds for how much time you want to log that password. Custom banned passwords list. Again, you can include that list here. You can include all the passwords and see. You can also set it up for Windows Server Active Directory. See that? You can do that as well. That is your password protection. Means it works beyond that simple complexity rules that you might have implemented in your AD or somewhere. See, if I go back, first, you have to sign into Entra admin. At least you should have a role of authentication administrator. You will locate an Entra protection proxy service by querying the forest. This is how. Then the DC agent sends a password policy download request to the proxy service, and in turn it responds the DC agent service. So the service stores the policy in a dedicated folder. That is how the components work basically. When password change events are received by a DC, the cached policy is used to determine if the new password is accepted or rejected based on the list that you've created. So these are the components. That's the workflow of how things work at the backend. Now, what's single sign-on? We have already talked about it. What a single sign-on means having single set of password to access multiple network resources. SSO allows one set of credentials for multiple systems, simplifying user access across applications. Okay. Now I showed you this as well. If you go back to your Intra portal, there first you have to register your application. Let's say you have registered an enterprise application. So on there, on the app side, you will find something called as single sign-on. Let me check if I have any application hosted in here. Just give me a second. Okay, I have it here. So I'll show you this. See this? So what are the steps to configure your single sign-on? The very first thing is you have to go to enterprise application in the navigation pane. Hope you guys are able to follow my screen, right? First, you move into the screen. You see this option. You need to register your application. So like, I have created this one. You can create a new application from here. Go to that application. And here you have all the information about your app, the application ID, object ID, provisioning user accounts, all that. On the left here, you will see something called as single sign-on. See that. And from here, you can set up your single sign-on. See, OIDC applications require custom signing keys to customize claims. Please check the security considerations before customizing the claims for the application. See, this application uses OpenID Connect for OAuth. This protocol simplifies application configuration, has easy to use SDKs, and enables your application to use MS Graph. Right? So that's how you can set up your application to be single sign-on enabled. I go to this app. So you go to authentication, and you can add your redirect URIs from here. That's how you set up a single sign-on authentication for your applications. Now, so see, options for single sign-on include, again, federation protocols, password-based, link-based, or disabling single sign-on based on application needs. You can set up. Planning SSO deployment as crucial, considering application hosting and access requirements for seamless integration. So you have to make some prerequisites before hosting your single sign-on on your Entra portal. Okay. So it gives you basic SAML configuration. Okay, you can enter your identifier, means your entity ID, and then your URL as well, your application URL. You can download the certificates and copy the login URL, and that, that is how you basically configure this. So you need SAML settings enabled for this, right? That's your single sign-on. If we move next, see. Implement sign-on, single sign-on in Microsoft Entra ID entails, you can make, first you need to role, opt for roles with the least permissions necessary and review periodically. First thing, certificates. Regularly renew and manage the SAML application certificate with a structured process. Again, these are nothing but best practices that you need to keep in mind while implementing single sign-on. And keep users informed about SSO changes and provide support guidelines. Finally, talking about licensing and shared accounts. Ensure proper licensing for Microsoft Entra ID and applications, and securely manage shared account passwords. So these are all the best practices when you're talking about setting up a single sign-on for an application, right? So first you have to register your applications under enterprise applications, and then you can set up this feature. Now see, based on what all protocols we have talked about, using authenticator like passwordless options, then the password options, certificates, using FIDO2 keys, what are the best? See, these are all bad passwords. Can you tell me, guys, why these are bad passwords? Why they are into the bad list?
These are very common and easy to guess.
Okay.
Just like in keyboard 1 2 3 4 5
Yeah,
or query, you can type backwards. Password is the password. I love you. Password one. These are very common and very easy to guess by
absolutely.
hackers.
Yes, these password doesn't provide a security at all. These are easily guessable. Perfect. Now, this comes under good password, like sending an SMS or using voice. What makes it even better? See this, using authenticator, or maybe using software tokens OTP, or using a hardware token OTP. So this is under preview as of now. These are called the better reasons. And the best is always passwordless, means not even having a password at all. Again, using authenticator, using window hello, maybe using your biometric like face scan, fingerprint or something, using FIDO2 security keys, or using certificates. So that is how we rank these authentication methods according to their security, which gives you the best security in terms, right? Then, now comes the important part, configuring Azure role permissions for management groups, subscriptions, resource groups, and resources. But before we move to this, first you need to understand what is the hierarchy of Azure. So, Dinesh, do you remember the hierarchy? I talked about it. Like, do you know anything? How does it
Mm,
work?
Let me recollect it.
Okay,
First, we have tenant, then we have
okay.
subscriptions.
Okay, let me
Uh,
go to a blank screen for this. Just a minute, huh? Okay. Okay, now tell me. First, you said
uh,
we have a tenant.
Tenant, yeah, tenant,
Okay,
or
which we call
tenant
as
or the
tenant root group.
yeah,
Okay,
tenant root group,
perfect.
the one company. Then we have subscription, if I'm not wrong, or management. Sorry. After that,
Yes.
we have management group. Then we
Okay.
have subscription
Okay.
or resource group, subscription, resource group, and then resources, I guess.
Yes. Perfect. Subscription, resource group, and finally your resources. So Vivek, as you are new to this, I think so. This is how the Azure hierarchy looks like. Okay, if you ever talk about Azure, Microsoft Azure, this is the hierarchy. First comes the tenant root group, which is basically your contoso.com. Then comes your management group, which is the management layer. Then comes your subscriptions, which is your actual security and billing boundary. I'll write it here. Security or billing boundary. Then your resource groups, and resource groups cannot be renamed and cannot be nested. Remember that. Nested means if I have one resource group, let's say RG1, I can't have another resource group under resource group 1, which is RG1 or RG123, whatever. A resource group can only contain resources, never another resource group. This is not possible. And what are these resources? Your virtual machines, your storage accounts, your virtual networks, your databases, all these things. These are your actual services. So this is the exact Azure hierarchy. If you want to see this hierarchy, I'll help you out with that as well. So just give me a moment. See, this is my Azure portal. Let's reconnect with this. Okay, this is my Azure portal. And here, if I go to management groups, see, this is the tenant root group, which is top level hierarchy. Always remember, this is the topmost level of hierarchy in a Azure environment. Tenant root group. Then under that comes your subscription, and under those subscription comes your resource groups. So if I go to resource groups, you will be able to see all the resource groups. So I have one here. And under this resource group come your resources. And always remember, why do we have management groups? Dinesh, do you remember that? Why do we have management groups?
Manage all the subscription.
Absolutely perfect. Management groups are there to manage multiple subscriptions. Yes, perfect. Right? So it's possible that one management group can have multiple subscriptions. Let's say development subscription or testing subscription or production subscription, like that. Right? So all these are subscriptions. Perfect. Now that is the hierarchy of Azure, right? So you can change the name of a management group. You can delete a management group. I'll show you that as well. So let's say this is my Azure portal. I hope my Azure portal is still visible to all of you.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now let's say this is my management group. Okay, if I go back, I want to create a new management group. How to do that? Simply click on create. I'll create one with the name as AZ-500. Let's try to create this. Okay, as you can see, the management group has been created, but it's under my tenant root group, right? I can see that. So if I go to this management group now, see that this is my new management group. I can create subscriptions under that. I can create, I can modify this resource, this management group. See, I can rename this. I can delete this group. All these options. Access level to me is a reader level access. If I go to access management, access control, this is where you will find RBAC controls for this management group. See, if I go to roles here, these are all the roles. And if I go to role assignments, currently there are, see, these all are resource, what do you say, role assignments. There is one owner, one reader is there, and one user access administrator, and one virtual machine contributor. Right. So if I go to overview, I can even delete this one. So I'll click on delete and hit yes. There are 0 subscriptions under this management group. So that's your management group. Now, if we further talk about You can see everything about this management group, what is happening with it. So let's wait for it to be deleted first. It's done. Now if I refresh this, we won't be able to see that AZ-500 anymore. See that? And in here, if I go to tools, deployments, okay, tags, organization. Okay, let's say if I go to this tenant root group, so I have the activity log as well here. If I want to see what's being happening to this management group, see currently there are no activities to display. If I go to this one, let's say, let's see if there are any activities here. Let's wait for it. No activities here as well. And this is my subscription. I can also view the activities at subscription level. So go to subscription, go to activity log. See, as of now, it's giving you 0. Let's see. Management group, none. Okay. Last 6 hours. If I increase the time span to last month, then if I hit apply, see that all the activities that has occurred in this subscription. We created a website, we deleted a website, we deleted a resource group, schedules, hosting plan, workspace, we created a web app, we started a web app, all these things.
So is
All
it take
that.
time to come up or show in that log option?
No, actually what happens was I was not choosing the correct time span. I was going with 6 hours, last 6 hours. So then
We
I
just done that, no, like creation and deletion. So it should come, right?
no, that was for management group. This is I'm
Okay.
showing you for the subscription group. Huh.
Okay.
For
Okay.
that, you will go to tenant root group and you will find that there. Okay. Yeah, but sometimes it might take some time as well. Yes, you are also correct.
Right.
Yeah, it might take some time to reflect. Yes, perfect. Right. So that's your, this thing, and let's go back again. Great. So that's your management group. Azure management groups organize subscriptions for centralized governance and automatic policy inheritance. Now, what does this automatic policy inheritance means? So remember we talked about this hierarchy. How was it? We have your tenant root group, then you have your management groups, then you have your subscription, then the resource group, and finally your resources. So what if I want, there is a policy that I want to create. All the VMs in my environment should be created in India, Central India region only. What is the requirement? Condition is all the VMs should be created in Central India region. That's it. And I want this policy to be followed starting from my management group or tenant root group until the end of the hierarchy, which is until resources. The policy should flow down. So, what do you think? Where should I create this policy? On which level? Any guesses?
Sorry, I got a call, so I missed that part.
Okay. I said if we talk about the hierarchy of Azure. So first you said we have tenant root group, then we have management group, then you have your subscription, then your resource group, and finally your resources. Now let's say I want to create a policy in my organization which says VM's location should be is equal to Central India region only. And I want this policy to be followed down the entire hierarchy of my environment. So where should I create this policy? At which level?
Mm. Uh, I'm not sure actually. I'm
I'll have to create the policy on the highest level, top level hierarchy. Why?
okay.
Because I want the policy to be flown down until the end. That's how it works. So
Okay.
means doesn't matter how many management groups I have in this tenant role group, how many subscriptions I have under this management group. I will be made sure that this policy is being followed down until the hierarchy. It's being inherited. So that's how it works, and that's what this point says here. See that here, centralized governance and automatic policy inheritance. Management groups can be renamed or deleted via Portal, PowerShell, or Azure CLI with specific permissions. Subscriptions inherit access and policies when moved to a management group. Audit with Azure Activity Log. That's I've already shown you, right? These are some of the steps that you need to be aware about. Now, what is RBAC? What is this thing? RBAC, role-based access control. So I say that if Vivek goes to his office. This is his office building. Let's say the company is Contoso. Now Vivek goes to that building. Now the security guard asks him to show him his ID card. This is his ID card. What information does this ID card has? Maybe his name, his department, his employee code, right? So based on the department, let's say he's a network engineer. Okay, network engineer means he's coming from the IT department only. So he'll be able to change something with virtual networks, subnets, NSGs, firewalls, right? That is how role-based access control works. Maybe he's a global admin, not a network engineer. He's a global admin of Contoso. Then again, he has the highest level of control. So role-based access control means what level of access you have, that is dependent upon your role assigned to you. Azure RBAC controls access to resources through role assignments based on security principle, role definition, and scope. So what are they talking about? Let's move back to Azure portal and see ourselves. Okay, why my share screen is not working? So if I go back to my Azure portal, now I can decide on which scope I want to create these role assignments. Okay, you will find these role assignments under management groups. See that IAM is there. You will find that under management groups. You will also find them under subscription group. Now let's say I want to create this policy, this role for the subscription. So I'll go to my subscription. There is an option of IAM, which stands for Identity and Access Management. Let's go to this IAM. See, currently these are the role assignments. So there is one owner, one contributor, one reader. These are all the different roles that have been assigned. If you want to see what all roles are available, simply go to roles and you will be able to see all the valid roles that are there in an RBAC. See, 846 roles are there in total. There is global reader, Azure AI owner, application administrator, Azure, all these other roles as well. Compliance auditor, compliance administrator, different type of roles are there. API management, reader, contributor, owner. See that? If you are an owner, means it grants full access to manage all resources, including the ability to assign roles in Azure RBAC. So there are two types of roles. Either you can create built-in role or you can have a custom role. So first, let's show you how to create a built-in role. So I'll go to role assignment, add a role assignment. Here, let's say you want to add a role. I want to create a role which is, let's see, contributor. All these contributor roles are starting appearing here. Okay, this maps here. I want to make someone as backup contributor, which means he'll be able to manage backups but cannot delete vaults and give access to others. Let's create this one. Hit next. To whom do you want to give this role to? You need to select a member, means a user, or a group, means an identity basically. Let's say I want to give it to Alex, or you can choose multiple users as well. Alex, IT group, all that. Done. Select. Do you want to provide any description? No. Next. And hit review and assign. So it's that easy. That is how you assign a role, an RBAC role to any user. Now, if I go back to IAM and if I go to these role assignments, you will be able to see backup contributor as Alex and IT. Can you see that? It's working on subscription level, not the management group, not the root level, on a subscription level. See, there's a resource. See that? That's your RBAC control. Similarly, you can create a custom role as well. Custom role is what? Means you are excluding, means you are playing with the role definition basically. You are playing what permissions do you want to give, what permissions you want to exclude, all that. See, here, let's say if I clone a role, if I choose the same role, which is backup contributor, I want to make some changes to it. What changes? I want to add this functionality, this permission, I want to remove that. That's how you make a custom rule. Then what is the assignable scope? I want to stick with my subscription ID only. So there is my subscription. I can add more assignable scope if I want to my tenant road group, to my management group, anything. Then hit next and review and create. That is how you create a custom rule, custom rollback, sorry, custom role based access control, right? That's how it works. See that. Also remember, when we talk about role based RBAC controls, we have two type of controls. One is built-in, another one is custom. Okay, it supports fine-grained access management, allowing specific permissions for users, groups, service principals, or managed identities. Role assignments and deny assignments determine access globally stored to ensure resource accessibility regardless of region. So means if I make Alex, let's say a user administrator. Now what is a user administrator? Means he can create users, he can delete users, he can restore users, he can give them, permissions, all that. And if I create Bob as backup contributor, so there is a difference between their jobs, between their roles. Alex will be able to manage users, whereas Bob will be able every aspect of backup vaults, right? That's how role-based access control works. See, this is what I just showed you. Now, there are two type of roles. First, we have talked about role-based access controls. Secondly, there are intra roles. What is the difference? These RBAC roles, they have scopes such as tenant root group. It can be created on management group level, subscription level, resource group level, right? Intra roles are specific to a tenant only. They have a single scope. They cannot work beyond subscriptions, beyond tenant level. They cannot work on subscription level, management group level. No. These are only tenant level roles. Like inside a Contoso, whom do you want to be make held responsible for managing the user? Something like that. And that is why we call them intra roles. See, assign intra roles to delegate management of identity related tasks and permissions. Roles cover actions like user management, license assignment, and domain configuration. Okay. Use intra roles for identity. Azure means RBAC roles for resource management. So means if you want to manage your resources, your Azure resources, such as your VMs, your backup, databases, application, AI services, anything. If you want to manage your resources, then give him an RBAC role. If you want to manage your identities, anything for your identities, Then create intra role. Okay, and I'll show you that as well, how to create intra role. See, now currently we were into subscription level. Now for intra roles, you always have to visit where? Where do you think, guys? Where do you have to go?
Tenant.
Yes, and we'll find our tenant in Entra ID.
Enter ID.
So go to Entra ID, perfect. Go to Entra ID. You see you are into default directory tenant. Here, if you click on manage, you will be able to find roles and administrators. See, same console is here. You can see what are the role assignments, everything. Okay, so here let's see. See, this is an agent ID admin. There is application developer role. What this application developer can do, can create application registrations independent of the user can register application settings. So go to this role. You can learn more about it. Are there any assignments for this role? No. Let's say I want to give this role to someone. Click on add assignment. Again, choose your user or group to which you want to whom you want to give this. Let's say Alex. Click add and see. Alex is now an application developer. The scope is directory. Scope is not management group. Scope is not tenant root group, and the scope is also not a resource group or subscription level, right? It's directory level. Same way you can create custom roles here as well. Okay. If I go back, roles. See, you can create custom roles, but for that you need to have Entra ID P1 or P2 licenses. Right? That's the requirement. That's how we create Entra role. Hope you guys know what's the difference between Entra roles and your RBAC roles.
Yes.
Perfect. If you want to see more about it, this is RBAC. Yep. So you can find plenty of articles for what is the difference. All the difference is very simple. The difference lies in the scope. That's it. Okay, so that's there. Now what is after this? See, these are some of the built-in roles that they're talking about. Now here they are talking about Entra, not RBAC roles. There is application admin that I just assigned. Privileged role allows application registration, consent, and owner status for assigned users. So you can just search on web that Entra built-in roles, and you will have a Microsoft document, a long list of all the roles specified there. These roles are just extracted from there only. Attribute assignment admin, attribute log administrator. What he can do, he can access audit logs for custom security attributes not granted in default admin roles. There is an authentication administrator. Now this is important. What do you think this guy can do? See, this guy can manage authentication methods. He can reset passwords. He can perform sensitive actions. Limitations apply to this role. He can set up MFA. He can set up conditional access. Why? Because he is an authentication administrator. Authentication policy administrator is there. The one who will be configuring policies, who will be managing credentials, tickets, all that. Again, assign Microsoft Entra roles for resource management. Okay, means RBAC roles for resource management. Rules grant permissions like user management. Permissions include password resets and license management. Right, so this is just a list of the Entra built-in roles. Means Entra ID roles. Perfect. Now these are some RBAC built-in roles. What are these? You must have seen contributor, owner, reader, RBAC administrator, user access administrator. What these guys can do? See, contributor grants full access to manage all resources but doesn't allow you to assign roles in Azure RBAC. You can manage assignments in Azure Blueprints or share image galleries. Grants full access to manage all resources, including the ability to assign roles in Azure RBAC. Reader role. View all resources but doesn't allow you to make any changes. Means you can view all the rules, view all the resources, what VMs are there, how many databases are there in the system, what applications have been registered, but you cannot make any changes. You cannot rename any application, you cannot delete any application, anything, right? Then RBAC administrator means who can assign RBAC rules, who can remove RBAC rules, that guy. Manage access to Azure resources by assigning roles using Azure RBAC. This role doesn't allow you to manage access using other ways such as Azure policy. And lastly, there is user access administrator means who can manage user access to Azure resources. Like if there are 5 users, Alex, Bob, Charlie, Dennis, and let's say Erasmus. So out of these, who can access VMs? I say Alex, Bob, and Charlie. These guys can access my VM. So what is that? That is user access administrator. Means I am a user access administrator here who is giving access to Alex, Bob, and Charlie. Right? That's how it works. See, we can also manage custom roles, including Azure roles and Entra ID roles that I've already shown you. What is custom role? When you pick up a role and on, if you go with a clone, so means you pick up a built-in role, you exclude and include some permissions out of it, permissions, and that we call as, so then you choose a scope as well, to which scope you want to apply this, and then it is called a custom rule. Simple. Means when you picked up a rule, you made some changes to it, and now you are calling it a new rule introduced by you. That's a custom rule. You assign appropriate roles, example owner, contributor, reader, to management groups, subscriptions, and resource groups. You can fine tune permissions for specific resources within resource groups as required, ensuring comprehensive access control across the environment. So, any confusion as of now from anyone, guys? Vivek and Dinesh? Any confusion between intra role or RBAC role?
Not exactly. I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for the participation, Vivek. Next. Now, this is very important. This is very, very, very important topic. Privileged identity management. Now, what do you guys think? Guys, I need your engagement here. What do you think this thing is exactly? Okay, first thing I would like to show you is, just a moment, I'll go to my website. So remember I showed you this, that Entra ID has multiple plans and pricings. Entra ID plans pricing. So PIM comes under a paid license. If I go to this Indian website to see the Indian prices, all right. These are the 3 licenses. Like we have free P1 and P2. This is an alternate one. Now, if you go under ID governance, see this privileged identity management. It is present in P1 and P2, but you can see it is partially present. See that? Partially included. Where is it fully included? In this particular thing, Entra Suite. Now, what is privileged identity management? Why is this very important? What is it exactly? PIM. What do you think? According to the name, what do you think it might be? PIM, privileged identity management. And if I go back to my, you see here roles, you see some of the roles are, tagged as privileged. What does this mean, privileged? Any guesses? What could it possibly mean?
Maybe it has like most critical, or just like a CISO in our
Okay.
organization. He is the
Okay.
most critical guy. So
Hmm.
maybe these kind of people have this access so that he
Hmm.
can do critical changes or
Hmm.
critical things
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
important things,
Okay,
maybe
perfect.
related to that.
Yeah, perfect. Now, do you think giving these critical roles to someone permanently is a good strategy?
No, actually.
What
Uh,
is?
I don't know. It depends actually.
Hmm.
Because see, every employee is also in a way temporary. It's
Huh.
not way.
Yes.
But maybe I'm thinking that way.
Hmm.
Suppose I'm giving. I need something. I need some critical access,
Huh.
or uh, guys are not there to help me out,
Huh.
like an admin team or something, right? Or maybe they
Huh.
need someone's approval
Huh.
to get that access. So if at that time, if no one has that privilege access, or
Huh.
that access who can provide
Huh.
the approval, that also
Huh.
not a good situation to have.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
I don't know
Huh.
much,
Huh.
but I'm just assuming the things.
Perfect. Perfect. Absolutely. Your answer is correct. See, PIM is a service that eliminates something called as, I'll write it here, standing access. Standing access means the dangerous practice of having admin rights 24/7. So instead of being a permanent admin, you are made eligible for a role. You only become an active admin when you specifically request it for a limited time. Means, okay, I have made Dinesh eligible to be a global admin, but I've made him eligible. First, he has to request that access. It is not that he will be given that access by default. He'll have to raise a request that access, and then I, who is the admin, I will decide whether to accept this or decline this request, right? So let's take a very simple example to understand this. Imagine a bank with a high security vault. Now, every manager carries a master key in their pocket at all times, at lunch, at home, and even on vacation. So, if a manager loses their pants or gets mugged, the thief now has a permanent key to the vault. Don't you think so? So, what's the answer here? Answer is PIM. So, PIM, we call it as to give in someone just in time privileged access. So, we call it as JIT. And another term is just enough access, JEA. So without PIM, every manager will carry this master key, and there is scope of getting what do you call, stolen or something. With PIM, no one carries the key. The key is logged in a secure box. So when a manager needs to enter the vault, they must first go to the security desk, like the PIM portal. They need to provide their ID, their identity, and a thumbprint, which is MFA, and they have to explain why they need to enter. When you are requesting access for a privileged role, always remember you have to give justification for it. Okay. And then you need to get a senior director to sign off, which is this approval stage, approve or deny. And the key they are given only works for 2 hours before it automatically expires. That is why we call it just in time privileged access. Means this access will be given to this user for only 2 hours. And yes, you can decide how many hours you want to give. This is also customizable.
But this can be given to any kind of users, like admin or like any kind of access, right? They
Huh,
can
any kind
request.
of.
Suppose
Yes.
I am the user, right?
Huh.
Suppose I'm the storage guy, or like yeah, database guy.
Huh.
I need access of one of the group or one of these
Huh.
server or anything, right? I
Huh.
need
Huh.
admin access
Huh.
to just take example. Yeah, I need to install some putty or some any device. For
Huh.
that, I need a admin access, right?
Very nice.
So
Okay.
so that I can download that
Yes.
from Google and I can
Hmm.
install it. So for that
Huh.
time, I need admin access for a hour or
Yes.
two, right? Or for a day.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
I will request for privilege access,
Privileged
right?
access.
And then
Yes.
admin team will
Huh.
or admin team will approve it,
Approval.
or
Hmm.
approve it or whatever, deny it.
Perfect.
And then
Yes.
admin team also need a
Hmm.
someone else or senior manager approval.
Hmm.
Is it?
Approval. Not someone else. That
Huh?
admin is itself the approver here.
Acha, okay,
Huh.
okay.
Okay. And then they will assign a time as well, like to what particular time you are able to access this resource.
But right, so
Means
this is not related to any critical services as such. This is just a
no, no, huh.
service
Yes,
for the users who
huh.
need temporary at temporary
Temporary.
any kind of access temporarily.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
perfect,
perfect, perfect.
perfect. Yeah.
So there are three legs of PIM. We call it as three legs. What are three legs? First is GIT, means access is granted only when the work needs to be done. So if an admin's account, let's say, is hacked at 2 a.m., the hacker has no permissions. Why? Because the admin isn't active then. He is just eligible. He is able to request access. Is not the active role. Second thing is time bound. Means you set a maximum duration, like example 2 hours, 4 hours, which prevents forgotten access. Like you gave some important privileged role to some admin and you forgot it. The system automatically demotes the user back to a standard user when the time hits zero. Lastly, you have the stage third leg is approval and audit. It requires a second person to approve the request. Means it creates a paper trail. You can run a report at the end of the month to see who exactly accessed your global admin settings and why. Something like that. That's PIM. If you want to learn more about this, then I'll share some implementation. So this is a document that will help you to understand what is PIM, how do we implement this, all the step-by-step options. Just give me a moment. This document will help you to understand PIM in detail. I've put in the document in the chat. Please let me know if you have any questions. And the next topic we have is see how to plan and manage Azure resources in Microsoft Entra Privileged Identity Management, including settings and assignments. You have time based and approval based role activation for privileged users. So, give you just in time privileged access to Azure, time bound access to resources. It can be 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever. You need an approver to activate privileged rules. Multi-factor authentication can be required to activate any particular role. You might be asked for to clear your MFA first. A justification is required to understand why user needs this role, this special role. Notifications when privileged roles are activated means the moment you get assigned to with that privileged role, the admin will get a notification that this privileged role has been given to this user for this particular time. Access reviews are there to ensure users still need these roles or not. Access reviews, what are these? From the name itself, you create a feature. There is a feature of Entra ID. Again, it's a paid feature of ID governance portal. There you can create access reviews, means you can periodically check Alex has been given user access administrator role from the last year. Does he require that role anymore in future? Yes or no? So these are access reviews. You keep on checking who needs the particular role in the future or not. Is there a need for this role? That is how access reviews work. Audit history for internal or external audit. That is also visible to you. So these are some of the key considerations when you talk about privileged identity management. See, these are access reviews. Now, how do you guys want to proceed? Do you want to talk about access reviews now, or we should just end this session?
I'm okay with the both. What about you, Vivek? I have one question to ask. Actually, I forgot because I was not there in the first class.
Please.
The course which we are discussing, is it enough for this exam, or
Huh?
I need to prepare something else as well, which you will share with us later?
For AZ-500
Yeah,
exam?
500. Yeah,
No,
exam.
no, no. This is more than enough. This is more than enough. Like,
The
see,
discussion which we are going,
huh,
right?
huh, absolutely.
Okay.
These presentations. Plus, I'll give you one thing. What you
Because
can do is,
accordingly I'll schedule I was
yeah,
planning for next Feb last uh, week,
okay.
so
Huh.
accordingly I'll prepare it. If
Okay,
videos are enough, then I'm good to go with the last week of it.
see,
If not,
I'll
mm,
tell you what to do is first, Dinesh, I'll consider that first go through all the training. Let's end this, course first.
mhm,
Then what I'll do is, although I give this information, I share this information at the end or like of the course, but as you are willing. So what you have to do is, you have to go through a lot of dumps. Do you know what are dumps?
yep.
Right? You have to go through a lot of AZ-500 dumps. If you search on Google, you'll find
Mhm.
plenty of it. Plenty
Okay.
of it.
Mhm.
Those are real scenario based questions. Plus, I can help you with a lot, some more things. Okay, I'll
Mhm.
share my this screen. Just give me a moment. So as of now, as you have mentioned about exams, so I'm sharing this. If you go to AZ-500, the first link is this, right? Go to that. Now here, see, it will give you all the information. It is a 12 months renewal course. The subject is security, product is Azure. It is not a beginner level. It is an intermediate level exam, means associate level exam. See, these are important links. How you can prepare for the exam. You need to practice for exam. You need some certification resources, all that. This gives you all the idea. And see, this is the repository I'm talking about.
Mhm.
If you start learning self-studying these, all, if you complete all these learning paths, then only move to the exam. And even then not, then I'll tell you what to do. Then you have this practice assessment. Take this practice assessment. This is a 50 set of questions. These are very straightforward. These are just to understand if you got the concept of AZ-500 learning paths or not. First
Mhm.
thing. Then watch these videos. Go to watch video. There are plenty of videos available for different topics here. See that there are episodes. How to secure networking. This is for how to secure identity and access. And this episode is for how many minutes? Let me check that. It is for 12 minutes. Go through all these exam prep videos. Then once you're done with all that, go through all my recordings, all this stuff, self-study, this link that I showed you earlier, and then search for AZ-500 dumps, and you will find plenty of dumps on the internet. Okay,
Oh,
there
mhm.
are even videos, YouTube videos as well. If you want to prepare for the exam, just for the exam purpose, I'm telling you, if you
Mhm.
want to prepare for the exam, go through these YouTube videos as well. Okay,
Okay. Mhm.
why? Because these videos have real scenario based questions that have very high, what you can say, like very high what I can say, the high probability of coming same type of questions in the exam.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
that's how you should proceed with this Microsoft examination for UZ 500.
Okay. Cool. Yep.
All everything I've explained to you regarding the exam. Hope it helps.
Yep. Yep. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Well, let's do one thing. It's 10:18 already, 10:19, I guess. So we have got, we have almost got the time. So any questions you have from today's session, from yesterday's, or any overall question you have from this session, Vivek and Dinesh, any question at all?
Not exactly.
Hmm. Okay. Dinesh, do one thing, like if you are really, what do you call, interested in giving this exam,
Mhm.
what I would suggest is try getting an Azure portal, a free trial,
Mhm.
and also try getting an this what do you call, this enter admin portal as well, the free trial.
Uh-huh.
Please go through that, but first complete all these recordings, then only.
Right. I can only see one in a day. I can only get time of this video.
That is why.
So
See,
let's complete this course, and
then then
then
then
I'll,
then
I'll
only.
surely follow the
Yes,
steps that you are suggesting,
yes,
and
yes,
then
yes,
hopefully I'll go
absolutely.
with the exam. Obviously, I'll follow the PDF that
huh
comes, and
yes,
then I can try for
yeah,
if I
absolutely,
can. Yep.
absolutely. After these recordings, please get these free trial, because
Mhm.
see, until and unless you're not implementing there's security technologies, and it might be like confusing to understand what's happening, because see, in Azure now we have multiple portals. On Azure portal we manage resources. On Entra Microsoft portal we manage everything related to identity. There
Mhm.
are other portals as well, like admin exchange portal is there. Then there is there are other portals as well, security.microsoft.com. So all these portals are correlated with each other. So you need to understand the chronology of these portals, right?
Correct, correct.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. All right then, Vivek, do you have any questions? Anything?
Not yet.
Okay, okay, perfect. Hope the session was quite informational for both of you. I guess it's
Yes,
going good.
yes, yes.
Perfect. Great. All right then. Let's wrap this session up and connect tomorrow at the same time.
Yes, sure.
Okay. Okay. Perfect
Yes,
then.
sir.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye bye.
Good night.